There was a boy there. He was 11. That was the one. It caught my eye. I asked him if he wanted to go and wash my car, and I took him to my apartment. I showed him the pool. I told him that I was a doctor and I wanted to do a blood test. But I gave him about a half a cc of atropine, and it knocked him out. And then I heard the helicopter flying. I began to panic. And all I could think about was hide the evidence. Quick, hide. And I had it was a large suitcase. And I put him in the suitcase and put him in the closet to hide him so that he wouldn't be found. That was, my head was spinning a mile an hour.
There are nearly 600,000 registered sex offenders living amongst us in the United States. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually molested by the age of 18. Nearly 88% of all victims never report the abuse. It is estimated there are 60 million survivors of childhood sexual abuse living in America today. These survivors who suffer in silence are all around us.
It started with, well, my grandfather. I was 4 or 5, and it started off with, let's play the tickle game. Or let's, he had a jacuzzi and all the kids would play in it, but somehow I would always be left behind with just him. The first real time I remember, he was giving me a piggyback ride, and I was on the side of the yard, and his hand went up my dress, and that's the first time that I really realized that this isn't right, it's not okay. And then I was coming out of the bathroom, and again, the tickle game is what he would call it, and he actually put his mouth down there and he told me not to tell anybody. I think about it and it makes me want to cry.
My family moved out here to California. We're from Ohio, and we stayed with my grandparents for 10 days. And in that 10 days, my uncle molested myself and another family member. He was an uncle of mine that I had looked up to, and was just happy that he was paying attention to me, and just kept progressing more and more to where he crossed the line. He would grab you and take your clothes off, and you just remember laying there just feeling so ashamed, and you have fear, and you know it's wrong. This shouldn't be happening to me, but you're a child. I was 8 years old, and you just don't know what to do.
I was at the age of 6 years old. There was this guy that was part of our family. His name was Ray. He was a boyfriend of my mom's. It was an afternoon. He grabbed me, and not physically grabbed me, but took me and said, "Hey, I want you to go for a ride with me." And he took me down by the water side, and we sat by the lake, and he started talking to me. And then he started touching himself in front of me. And then as he touched himself, he said, "I want you to do this." And so he started making my hand. He grabbed my hand and put it on his genitals and stuff like that. And he said, "Do this," and he started slowly showing me what to do. And I was scared, but I followed his directions because he told me what to do. And got to a point where he was actually asking me to do more things to him and everything like that. And this went on for a long period of time. He would threaten me that, if I told anybody that it would, my mom would get hurt and stuff like that. So I kept quiet as a kid, that's what I was supposed to do. I was keep quiet as a kid. I was scared. It was the most gross thing in the world. And it was hard. As an 8-year-old, and I just got sick of him doing this to me and wanting me to continue to do this. And it was just unnatural for me, and I didn't like it. And so I got to a point where I would avoid him at all points. I tried to stay away from him, and if he was alone in the house or my mom was alone in the house, whatever, I would just run. I would run and go hide in a closet. I would stay in closets for hours. Later on, I realized, I says, "Mom," I says, "you gotta understand, I was a victim of this guy. I was a victim. And I said, this guy sexually abused me. And then she just started crying and started hugging me. And she just started saying, I'm so sorry. She said, she just goes, I can't believe this, that I let this happen. She got sick one day. I watched her take her last breath. And before she passed away, and she wasn't conscious at all, and I just told her, Mom, I love you, and I forgive, and it's okay, I'll be okay. Ray is gone, and it's not your fault, so don't worry about it. And she was unconscious, and she started crying. Tears come out of her eyes, and I knew she heard me, even though she wasn't conscious. And her tears came down her eyes, and she took like 3 or 4 breaths, and then she was gone.
The Amber Watch Foundation is a charity dedicated to stopping this epidemic of child sexual abuse and child abduction. The foundation's Be Safe education program has a mission to inform and educate 25 million elementary-age children and their parents on how to identify potentially dangerous scenarios for their children, keeping them out of the hands of abductors and sexual predators. The Amber Watch Foundation's goal is to protect our children. We have the power to stop this vicious cycle of sexual abuse that is rampant in our country. Together, we can make a difference.